There is a hotel in the city. So it was built in 1985.
So before looking around, I'm going to give you a brief introduction about the museum. So our museum was first opened on August the 17th, 1953. That was only 20 days after the armistice. But here this building was newly constructed in 1974 and reopened on April the 11th, 1974. The total floor area of our museum is about 52,000 square meters, and there are over 80 showrooms in our museum. And here in this basement, we also displayed some of the weapons we used during the war. And also the enemy's weapons we captured from them during the war. And we have dioramas and one big panorama in our museum. Here this is the great leader Comrade Kim Il-sung among the people and soldiers of the Korean People's Army. So here this painting shows the invincibility of our people who strongly united around the great leader Comrade Kim Il-sung. This painting is Korean painting, our own style of painting, and it was painted by 10 soldier artists within 40 days. The painting is 6 meters high and 26 meters wide. And here in this painting, the great leader Comrade Kim Il-sung, he is always straight here, even though you change the position. So in any directions you move, he is always straight here. So you can check here if you want. And the master gunner of this tank, Comrade Pjoengjang, the hero of the Republic, he raised the national flag of the central government building in Seoul. So that building in the picture was the central government building, which was in Seoul at that time. And at that time, a lot of youth and students in Seoul, they also volunteered for the service in the Korean People's Army. Here this battle was one of the most fierce battles during the war because as you can see here, our soldiers, they should cross the river amid the concentrated fire of the enemies. So at that time, the great leader Comrade Kim Il-sung, he highly praised the soldiers who took part in this crossing battle. And there we also displayed one of the machine guns they used in this battle, one of which the great leader Comrade Kim Il-sung personally disassembled and assembled one. That is Maxim heavy machine gun. On July the 27th, 1953, so about 3 years long war. Okay. So on this map, this is Pjoengjang, our capital, and here this is Soldaten's capital. And there is the third parallel like this, which was the demarcation line at that time. So at the beginning of the war, the enemies, they intruded 1 or 2 kilometers into our territory. But our soldiers under the command of the great leader, they frustrated this sudden invasion and went over to the counter-offensive. So on June the 28th, 1950, we liberated Seoul, the enemy's capital. And we advanced towards south, and on July the 20th, 1950, we again liberated here in this city called Dort. Okay. It was the enemy's provisional capital, so there was a very big battle at that time. And it was very successful, and in this battle we also captured alive the division commander of the US 24th Infantry Division. So in our museum there is a big panorama which shows this combat field. Okay. And here this is the river Rakdong which you saw in the painting. So People's Army crossed this river and drove the enemies into these limited areas. So from beginning of the war to September 1950, we could liberate over 90% of whole territory of South Korea and 92% of its population. But from then, the enemies they began to mobilize larger troops on the Korean front, especially of the most of the larger troops from America and also from 15 other countries and them of UN, including England, Turkey, France, Australia, Brazil, and so on. And with these larger troops, they conducted a larger scale landing operation here in Incheon.
Is a standing height in the eastern sector of the front. The Chol Pass is one of the main transport routes of strategic importance. The US imperialists attempted to hinder transport with air bombing. But our courageous drivers successfully ensured wartime transport crossing steep passes. And the soldiers in the mobile repair shop are repairing a truck. Drivers, faithful to the respected Supreme Commander Kim Il-sung, are driving trucks up the pass. They do not hesitate even to die if only they could defend the Grand Leader and the non-right. It is removing the bombs. Brave engineers follow Yesu's steps and work on the road at the cost of their lives. The work soldiers drive, putting out fires set on the trucks. Since then, the great general has crossed the Chol Pass scores of times to meet the soldiers and led the anti-US struggle to defend the socialism to victory. The Chol Pass will stand forever along with the immortal monument that tells the undying exploits of the Sungun revolutionary leaders.
Because as you can see in that picture, the tree was so big that our drivers they could hire their trucks under this tree whenever the enemy's aircraft appeared. So whenever the enemies dropped the bombs, our drivers they sheltered their trucks under So this tree saved a lot of trucks and people during the war, and also contributed to the victory of the war. So our people called this tree Hero Pine Tree. But unfortunately, as you can see here, the tree was burnt by the bomb dropped by the enemies. He said that the Korean War was the wrong war at the wrong time in the wrong place, as you can see. At the time of the Korean War ended, so he was the one who signed the armistice. And here, this one is the letter of apology the U.S. government sent to our government. Again, invaded our territorial areas. But this gate was shut down and the pilot here was captured alive. So this is the confession and these are the belongings of him. There. And here, this place where we are now sitting is the peak of a hill, which is about 2 kilometers away from the center of the city. So we are now all on the top of the hill and look down the city and down the battle. Okay. So here, this city was very important place at that time because it was the enemy's provisional capital. And the enemies, they intended to check the attack of our people's army from this city. So they gathered a lot of grain force here, especially the US 21st Infantry Division. But under the command of the grand leader, Comrade Kim Il-sung, our soldiers encircled the enemies here in this city and annihilated them. And finally, on July the 20th, 1950, they liberated here this city. Okay. So it was a very successful battle, and here in this battle we also captured alive division commander of the US 21st Infantry Division, called William Dean. He was US general, but he was captured alive. So including him, more than 24,000 enemies were killed, wounded, or captured alive in this battle, and so many weapons were destroyed and